Fala galera, essa é a primeira entrevista que a gente está fazendo aqui no Crave Channel e eu tenho a honra de apresentar para vocês o grande Thanos, ou Thanos Kagkalos, que até recentemente estava na Yeti Pictures junto com o Tony e agora está em carreira solo através da Motion Punk, que é o novo estúdio dele. O Thanos é uma referência absoluta para mim nesses últimos anos. Tenho aprendido muito com ele, eu assino o Patreon dele. Eu vou deixar o link aí embaixo para vocês conferirem. E realmente é material de ultra qualidade para te colocar num nível muito foda, com um diferencial em relação aos outros na área de 3D para motion, especialmente na parte de partículas dinâmicas, usando o Cinema 4D, o X-Particles, o Turbulence FD e o Real Flow. Mas não só por essa parte técnica, ele é um grande diretor de arte também. Ele faz frames lindos, ele fez um projeto maravilhoso que eu quero mostrar para vocês agora, que é uma homenagem ao falecido Kobe Bryant, jogador de basquete. Então é isso aí, galera. A entrevista está em inglês, um inglês bem pobre da minha parte, e eu peço perdão desde agora pelas legendas que não estão revisadas. Tem muito erro gramatical e a edição delas poderia ter sido melhor, mas é um trabalho muito árduo fazer legendas e finalmente eu sei isso agora. Então com vocês, Thanos Kagkalos. We have here with us Thanos Lee. I'm a huge fan of his work and I'm super happy that he separated some time for us to talk to his Brazilian fans and everything. So thank you so much, Thanos, for being here. And the first thing I would like to ask you a question. It's like, just to tell a little bit about yourself. How did you get into motion design and how did you get to become so fucking powerful?
I'll start by saying hi to everyone. I love you since I was in Sao Paulo and a few years back with Tony. And since that day, the Brazilian people are inside our hearts. You know, you were very warm and very welcome and cheering and party and all that.
Nice.
That we Greeks do also appreciate. I'll start by saying that I became powerful through the Avengers movie, where I was the bad guy. And I did some particles there, and then I decided, to take this stuff and do this also on my computer.
Okay.
My background is comes a long way. Mm-hmm. I started doing 3D around 2003. I studied in a local school here in Athens, Greece. Okay. I did some graphic design, then did some 3D animation for 2 years. And I was
like a course, a school?
Yeah, it was a school, but at the time, it was weird because if you were not a modeler or a character animator, you were useless,
Okay.
As a 3D artist. Motion design didn't exist. So I wasn't good at modeling. I mean, I tried, but
I'm not good at modeling at all either. And I hate opening UVs at the same time.
Oh, for UVs I don't have a problem. Since I discovered Rhizome, I'm good with that. But in general, I wasn't good at modeling. I wasn't good at traditional storytelling. Let's say a character comes in the room and we change the camera and everything. I had a more graphic design orientation. I mean, I prefer to do, for example, flyers for rave parties.
Nice.
And add all the effects there,
Do you also go to the rave parties or you just do the flyers?
I'm not gonna disclose. It's sensitive material from an era of my life, but okay. Yes.
Nice. I have never been to a rave or anything like that.
It was a thing on 90s and 2000. On 90s, I was young, by the way. I was 10 to 20.
Okay.
But on early 2000, it was in fashion, and I used to go a lot to parties and all that stuff. You know, it was a very happy time of my life. I wasn't doing any 3D at all.
You had no responsibilities.
Yeah. I mean, but these experiences actually, you know, shape you. All the experiences, wherever you go out, or pranks that you do with your friends, or memories and all that, you know, they can shape you as a motion graphic designer, let's say, because when you make those crazy shit, sometimes it's just, you know, personal stuff, images that add, you know, from
it adds flavor to what you do, right?
Maybe, yes. I mean, looking back at stuff that I was doing at first, without even knowing what motion design is, I was just taking, you know, many objects and do what today is called the kit bus. Just, you know, placing objects here and there and art directing them, adding colors. I liked busy small worlds, let's say, items, big items and smaller items, you know, put together. But at the time, nobody appreciated that skill. It was like, man, you're playing. Why don't you do a rig or a great character with a cloth, you know? And
got it. You had absolute no motion design demand at the time in Greece.
We don't even have now, let's say, in a way.
Okay.
Imagine that 15 years ago, where motion design wasn't even a thing. I mean, I remember I first discovered, because I'm taking some steps back to my education. When I finished school, I was disappointed with this. Although I liked doing 3D very, very much, I started playing games for quite a while, like Lineage and online stuff like this that consumed my years.
You're such a nerd, man.
Aren't we all, you know?
Yes, I'm also a nerd. I'm an anime fan.
I think you are also a super nerd. I see some figures behind you.
I am a super nerd.
Yeah, and I got not disappointed, but I got distracted for many years. Till, let's say, 2012, where I started doing After Effects at the time. You know, typical typographic animations, crappy commercials for Vodafone and other, you know, this type of YouTube pre-roll stuff that play for 5 seconds and you have to do a nice motion design there. And there is where I saw a video from my later buddy Tony that he was using shapes, only cubes and spheres and colors, and he was making something very, very cool. And I was like, oh wow, is this a thing? I can just use shapes and, you know, do stuff instead of characters and all that crap. So this is, I think, the beginning for me, along with some videos from Vimeo, which felt very complicated to me at the time. But I thought that, you know, this is my calling, maybe this is an approach I'd like to do, but I didn't know, again, how or what. And I started doing a lot of After Effects with small characters, you know, infographics. It was at the time very in fashion to do infographics.
Yeah.
But it was still very boring for me. I was looking for more challenges. I started doing.
Were you already designing by that time, or just working as an animator?
I was kind of doing both, but I never realized it. I actually made some projects completely on my own without designers and anything. That I did everything from style frames, which I didn't know what style frame is. I was just doing it subconsciously. I was like, yeah, I like this, how this works and stuff. And same time animating and doing post-production. And kind of directing some small stuff here and there, but I wasn't feeling confident that my design skills, I still don't feel confident that my design skills are good, to be honest. But I couldn't actually distinct what motion design actually is. I remember I was trying to be a better animator because I felt that this is a skill that I need to sharpen more than anything. And I remember using Easy Ease. Do you remember this plugin?
No, I never use it.
Oh, it was it's a free plugin for After Effects that takes a boring linear animation and you add bouncing or heavy easing and stuff like. Yeah, and it was doing it by Expresso. How's it called in After Effects? Expressions.
Yes, actions or something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't very convenient, but this started making me feel the animation a lot better. I started understanding the difference between my bad animation because although I did an animation course for 2 years, nobody teach me shit. It was like, if I wanted to make a move from here to here and slow it down, I just added more keyframes,
like linear keyframes, right?
Yes, exactly.
I would do exactly the same thing. For me, when I discovered the F9 key on After Effects, was like, my mind exploded, man. What is this? I didn't even comprehend, but it felt so smooth and so nice,
Isn't it weird that we don't come from a strong, let's say, education as other countries, as UK or as northern countries that have very strong universities that teach motion design, teach principles to young people. And now a person that is 20 years old might already be a motion designer, if he has and a small artistic flair inside him. If you push him to the right direction from the beginning, he just goes there and he has the taste for it. While for me or for you probably to obtain this taste took quite a long time.
I feel so disgraceful. I know some very young people who completely destroy it, and I wish I was born in this day and age, but at the same time I'm glad I already went through the difficult starting points,
It has the good and the bad side. The bad side is what you said. We were born in a time where YouTube wasn't even invented and there was no access to tutorials. It was very hard. You had to get books and read books about anything. And I hate reading books about After Effects, for example.
Exactly. I actually think I have one of those here. Let me see.
Everybody has
I have
one.
this guy here. Whoops. Have you heard this?
Man.
That's the way we used to learn After Effects early on. It was completely reading, and it's probably the most sufferable thing I ever did was reading books about After Effects and 3D. It's so difficult to keep going because everything, if you lose one step and you use the wrong numbers and the wrong properties, you need to start over again. There's no way of you finding out what you did wrong.
I know, right? And at the time we valued every little tip many times much than young people do, because for us it was a very mystical thing to do. And because there were no resources to tell you how to do anything, if I got a tip from you, for example, for me it was like priceless. I was solving mysteries like this.
At the same time, we didn't take notes of anything.
Of course. And but the good side of us being such dinosaurs is that because we went through this phase of researching everything into more depth to kind of understand. This is how I learned, for example, how to be a good lighting and shading artist, because I had first to overcome a lot of technical difficulties because GPU thing didn't exist at the time. So I was using very expensive CPUs that still were very, very slow within V-Ray that I was using. And I had to overcome all the technical difficulties first. So in order to understand better how GI works, how bouncing light works, how shading works, in order to be efficient, etc. So when forwarding a few years to
actually,
the future,
I didn't even try GI before Octane. I think I tried twice or something, but it was so time consuming that I
exactly. Imagine when I jumped into Octane after all these years of heavy training with V-Ray and everything, my mind blew because real time for me was the thing that I was missing. I mean, I knew all the theory behind materials and lighting and technical and stuff, but I was missing this extra interactivity, which made me actually start working very, very fast. I knew the hard way, and when somebody showed me that, look, you can do this now and you can preview everything, I was like, what? Wait. And it's a new skill, let's say. I felt that my motion design path kind of went upwards since I started using real-time render engines and Cinema 4D and everything. It was tools that took my hand, that were binded, and and released the the beast from me, the Thanos, the bud, from Avengers.
Yeah, for sure. How do people play a lot with your name because it's so similar to Thanos?
It's the same. It's not similar. Yeah, and people play a lot. I never seen the Avengers. I don't intend to. It's not the type of films that I watch.
What type of films do you watch?
Anything but heavy blockbusters like this. I'm not a fan of sci-fi that much. I prefer to watch movies that are more cinephile in a way and focus more on the script rather than VFX. I always felt that VFX cannot make a movie. The movie has to have a strong core, and VFX should be something very complementary. So, for example, when you see some, I remember watching a breakdown from Netflix, a series about, how was it called? About these detectives that were investigating serial killers, very popular series.
Was it Netflix or Amazon?
In Netflix. Okay. The name is slipping to me. Anyways, they had this invisible VFX, so everything looked like it's shooting, but when you see the breakdown, you see all these trees in there, these houses in there, everything. You don't have to do explosions, and all that stuff. You can just
complement the story.
Exactly, complement the story, make the mood to look more dark or 60s or 70s. I really like invisible type of VFX rather than in cinema. And oh god, I can't remember the series, but it was also a movie 2 years ago called First Man. Have you seen that one?
No, I don't think so.
Dude, you should. It's the story of Neil Armstrong, the first guy that landed on the moon.
Okay.
But it's shot in such a great way. I mean, it has this invisible VFX type of thing. Of course, it had the complex shooting with projectors and everything. And because it had a strong story, when those VFX were added carefully, it gave you a great sensation, and I think it won also the Oscar for VFX, not because it was too complex, like heavily explosives and anything, but in compositing, everything was exactly as it should to be. As he was traveling to the moon and the spaceship was, shaking, and he was sweating, and you were almost get dizzy from the hand camera shake and everything. So yeah, not Avengers for me, not my cup of tea.
you don't like any kind of fantasy or science fiction at all? Like I would say Matrix, perhaps?
Matrix is a benchmark. I mean, but how many movies are there like Matrix?
Not many.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even Matrix 2.
No, Matrix 2, no. And Christopher Nolan, Nolan, who made Memento and Batman Begins and all that.
Yeah, I love those films.
He reached his peak with Inception, with this very complex. For example, this type of sci-fi, I love it. The more like complex.
Interstellar.
Yeah, the mind-bending stuff. But even him, that he's such a master of cinematography and scripting and everything. He reached at a very complex point with his scenarios, and now he can't make it better. He just makes them more confusing, if you ask me, but not better. So, of course, I appreciate sci-fi, but very specific movies and very specific directors.
Okay. So, what about we talk a little bit about your new phase as motion punk? What does this mean to you in your career at this point of your life?
Well, it means two things. First thing is that I am able to rest a little bit more because the last 5-6 years, it's been exhausting in terms of work with almost no vacations. We were trying to build a name for ourselves. Tony always had a name here in Greece. He was established way before my time. But I wasn't, and I was working very hard to prove myself and to show that I can do stuff and I can accomplish anything, from compositing to 3D to VFX to design, 2D design, 3D design. So when we split this year with my friend Tony, it was kind of a sad in a way, because Tony is my best friend and we didn't wanna go apart. We are also we collaborate very well in terms of creative and ideas and everything. We have a great chemistry on that. But also at the same time, it was a relief for both, because we had let's say different business orientation in that regard. I was actually pursuing more of a career of a creative director rather than an artist, and Tony wanted the opposite, because he was a creative director all the time. He wanted to be more of an artist, and this gave us this let's say kind of conflict in our interests. So we thought parting our ways would be better for everyone to serve his own needs. So with my new, which is very, very new actually, it's 5 months now, the brand, something like it. With a new direction that I am taking, I'm trying to pick projects either by quality or by budget. Now I'm not doing anything in the middle. I'm not gonna do some shitty project for mediocre budget. I'm gonna do a very good project for low budget, and I'm gonna do a very shitty project for very big budget. And I'm trying to work as less as possible. That's my my new thing.
Because have you ever got into? Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No. I wanted just to say that I was almost burnt out at some point with.
Oh yeah, that was exactly what I was going to ask you. Have you ever got into a point that you were like burning out? How was that for you?
Many times. It wasn't just one. It was frustrating. It wasn't a burnout like, let's say, when you hit a wall with creativity or something like that. It was a burnout in terms of my body couldn't handle it, and my mentality couldn't handle it. I was pushing myself so much at some point. We were working like I remember 4 years ago, we were doing a spot for Nissan Mexico with Tony and the team back then. And it was, I don't know, 22 of August or something. And we didn't know when this ends. And I was missing all my vacations.
Damn.
Because, again, on 1st of September, the year catches up and there were new projects that were coming along. And we were doing revisions after revisions on a complex project between us and MPC. I think it was at the time from US that did the CG, and another company was directing. And it was different time zones. We were working till late at night. It was, and at some point I started yelling at everyone, "Fuck off!" You know. When the fuck do I go home? Because at the time I wasn't, you know, a company owner.
Okay.
I was a partner,
employee kind of thing.
I mean, there were times that I certainly felt very tired and very distracted from what I really wanted to do. Because if you think about it, if you do a project for 2 months, let's say, and this project involves to do rotoscoping all the time, camera tracking, adding 2D graphics on top, and then manipulating that for 2 months, you don't learn 3D, for example, at this period. You don't do something else that can amplify your skills. You just do repetitive tasks that are not good for you as individual. They're good for the studio, but individually, I didn't felt like growing many times.
I must say I envy your presence to say enough is enough at some point, you know, because I never did that. And a couple of times I went full-blown burnout, you know, like I had to stop everything and just take a couple of weeks off because I didn't preserve myself. I just threw myself on top of whatever challenge I had in front of me. And for me, it's so important to prove myself and to prove to myself that I can solve that challenge, that I forget that I have to sleep. I have to take care of myself, to have other sources of pleasure in life, you know, other than work.
I completely understand you, and I think this is the biggest struggle for artists that have a vision, let's say. Tony is exactly like me. We were both very, if not competitive, at least we are very, we have big egos about our work. We wanna do always the best, even if a project was crap. We wanted nobody to be able to talk shit about us. Like, you know, I gave the project to these guys and they didn't go through it. So we were pushing ourselves quite a lot for that. And somehow we were a bad influence one to the other, because when Tony was slowing down, I was poking him. Yeah, you know, we need to move on. And when I was slowing down, he was poking me. Yeah, we need to move on. And this ended up in a windmill of non-stopping work. And
got it. I mean, when I see from the outside, it completely worked, because everything you guys do together is completely mind-blowing. Not only together, but after you guys split up, you both had been doing amazing work. Like the Mamba Out project was completely blew my mind. But it's always funny how everything works behind the curtains, right?
It's very interesting, actually. It's the most interesting process. And when you are inside this process, you are not able to judge, let's say, objectively. You might be experiencing a burnout for a good amount of time and not even realizing it. I remember there were periods that Tony and I were fighting in a way about stuff like we don't do personal projects, we need to do more personal projects, and how much and what and why, and let's stop commercials. We always had this type of argument behind the curtains, and on the front end of things, we were delivering stuff over and over and over again, but in behind we were not satisfied. Each one for different reasons. For example, I wasn't satisfied with the amount of personal work that we have pulled out the last 5 years. It was actually very few projects. And although we had the portfolio to support client work and we don't needed personal projects to attract more clients, we just needed consistency on the market. For me, doing personal projects is a sacred thing. I mean, it's healing for the soul, you know. It's completely different. It's the reason I love this work. It's not the commercial, because I fucking hate commercials. Yeah, I just said it out loud. I didn't go back.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. I mean, I sometimes I wonder if we are really artists, because we need to make work that has a function, that has a purpose for a client, and the creation is not only ours, it's from the clients as well, you know. So how much of that can we call art? And at the same time, we have the vein of art in our blood, you know, in the blood of art running in our veins, perhaps. I don't know how to express this idea.
You express it very, very accurate.
And sometimes I feel the personal projects are exactly what we need to take this pressure of the commercial projects. So we don't feel like frustrated by not being creative as much as we want and in the way we want.
And I have to add here that even, let's say, the success Tony and I have here in Greece, because we are considered one of the best studios here in Greece, clients still doesn't trust us, agencies still doesn't trust us. They always come with a predefined storyboard, with a predefined idea, which is most of the time crap. And we're like, we are not just hands, you know. If you need hands to create a project, go to use somebody else. We have ideas, we have visions, we have images in our head which can enhance your project. So just let us do the fucking work and stop, you know, moving our hands on the keyboard. It's really very far from art. This is it's fart. It's not art. It's us trying to make more and more money rather than try to make something good, make something meaningful, not in a way of storytelling or something. For some people, it's meaningful to take soft body simulations and squash them all day, you know. Something that it's not commercial, at least.
I have a huge challenge with personal projects. I tend to take the external demand from clients and other people more seriously than I take my own, you know. And I admire you guys so much because you are capable to express so many beautiful ideas in a beautiful way, visual way. How do you take yourself so seriously when you're creating something for yourself, basically?
That's a good question. I guess I am obsessed with that. I have an obsession with making something exactly the way I want it. And even when I can't make it the way I want it, I try to cheat as much as possible to make it look good. So, for example, when we were doing the Mad Scenes project a few years ago, I remember it was Friday night around 1 o'clock at night, and the project was almost ready, and I kept doing turbulence FD simulations over and over. It had this red toaster that was jumping up and down, and it was throwing a red smoke.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That project is awesome.
Yeah, and I felt that the turbulence of the simulation is not good enough. So I kept working till 6 o'clock in the morning to do, stuff. It was my first project in Cinema 4D, by the way. So I was just exploring.
I feel so bad right now.
Yeah, a lot of people ask this. Yeah, it's a natural outcome if you do 3D a lot. When you switch from 3D application to 3D application, you just know which buttons you want to explore first. Because the switch from 3ds Max to Cinema 4D, it was very flawless for me. I had no disruptions whatsoever. But for example, I didn't know how to model a spline or delete a point. Okay. While I could do X particles. You know what I mean? I jumped direct to the subjects I was interested in, and then I said, fuck, I need to take some steps back and start doing some modeling here too. And even to this day, I can't use bones at all. I can't rig a single object.
I can do really basic stuff. Like it's not that I cannot do, I just don't have the patience to do it. I always prefer to use like a bend or something like that, like a deformer.
Of course, but of course I'm all in favor for cheating and everything and dynamics and proceduralism, and all that cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
But the power of rigging, I think, unlocks other aspects in motion design where you solve problems in a much more controlled way than MoGraph, for example. So right now I'm trying to attend some rigging courses from time to time to get some ideas.
Like traditional rigging with bones and everything?
Yeah, for characters. But I translate this knowledge to other stuff. Maybe some bones that are unfolding. Maybe there is a box that rolls on the floor, I'm trying to think how this applies to my needs. A morph in a face can be for me a morph in shape of a MoGraph, a sphere that becomes a box. Simple techniques like this that can help you, grow as a technical artist and do more complex stuff in terms of visuals. I'm not saying it's essential, but I've come to a point where I start going back to basics in terms of 3D because I feel that my base knowledge is not good enough.
Like the fundamentals?
Yeah, definitely. And I think fundamentals are important in anything besides technical, in drawing, in composition, because when people start, they just go direct to the buttons. How do I do this? And when you know most of the buttons, you need to take steps back and go and say, how I make this now nice, not how I do this. I know how to do this, but how do I make it nice? And there you start researching the fundamentals over and over again. But I do understand it's a process, and at the beginning, everybody just struggles to even find the render engine, the typical question, Redshift or Octane all the time. And
yeah, Redshift for sure.
Yeah, for sure, Octane.
But I feel the same way. Like I have been having a high demand for design work, although I see myself more as an animator. And when someone challenged me to do that, I feel I need to do it. I really want to be good at this. But I feel sometimes I miss a lot of really basic design knowledge, And I get to do, if the project has some kind of look that I feel like really connected to, everything goes really easy and the client loves it and everything like that. But if it's something that's a little bit different, I tend to struggle a lot, to get it done.
I completely get you, but I feel that design is not just theory, Of course, you can see the theory behind it. But for example, I remember Tony is studying, for example, a lot more design than I do because I was studying more technical things. And he was studying, many times very complex grids of Baroque paintings or Renaissance paintings and layouts and everything. And while I understand it as theory, in my head, very few of these principles are being imprinted. And I realized that not everyone can absorb this theory of design and apply it. It usually works, for me at least, as an instinct rather than that I have the principles behind it. I just see, for example, some colors, and through the years of experience and growing alongside with other good artists, and basically with Tony, which is a great director and has a great eye for detail, I started developing this taste of what goes with what. I mean, I can just understand color now without having color theory in my mind. I can see if a composition feels bad or good. It's this gut feeling as you turn the camera. And at some point you say, oh, stop it there, it's nice. But you don't actually know why it's nice. It just feels right sometimes,
Yeah, after seeing it so many times, you start to feel it, right?
It's a gut feeling, and I think, of course, going back to principles, it's great. And if you remember last year, we did a course about style framing and design principles and all.
I love that.
I never seen it, and I don't even know about this stuff.
You should watch it. It's a good reminder of your own benchmark.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of solid knowledge that Tony made a great effort to gather many different resources and pack it as clear as possible without extending for a 20-hour course about design. Just go to the fundamentals and point it out as clear as possible.
But I love your practical parts as well. Like you just opening the projects and explaining how you thought each element, and the lighting and the texture and everything. It's so beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah. I always feel that I'm not good at explaining stuff, but
you're the best teacher. You're probably my favorite teacher this year because, I'm on many patrons. I'm subscribing to many patrons, and you're by far my favorite one, man. You explain everything so well.
Oh, thanks.
By the way, have you ever lived in another country?
Yeah, briefly in London, in the UK.
Because your English is amazing. And
no.
It's a challenge we have here in Brazil. We have a lot of people that don't break through the language barrier and don't get to see how larger the world becomes by learning English, And
I think I don't know what access you have to educational resources in Brazil. I know it's a poor country in many ways, and people are not as comfortable as we are, let's say, here in Greece. But I think before going into anything in regards of design and all, you should at the same time practice English a lot, because the industry is largely based on English spoken jobs. And for example, while you are a good artist, let's say maybe you are a very good artist, if you cannot communicate well with the producer or the creative director, even if you do the best designs and everything, you can be totally off because the communication feels off. So I think English are very important, though this is not the reason why I, as you say, speak good English, because I think I speak Greeklish. It's not English. It's like my syntax is wrong and my accent is crap. But
no, your English is amazing. It's so fun to hear and not funny, but fun, because it has its own flavor, but it's very clear, and your rationale is really clear as well. We can understand how you think about something and what took you to choose this path instead of that path, you know. So
that's good to know.
and it is very fluent, because I watch your tutorials, and I also record some tutorials in Brazil, and even in Portuguese I cannot do what you do in English, like to be at the same time on Cinema 4D doing something operational and explaining your rationale behind it. And I cannot do that without like stopping all the time and saying and doing something wrong and then going back. And you do just like on one go, and I'm so impressed all the time that you do that.
Oh, thanks, man. But I've seen also your tutorials, and even I don't understand Portuguese, they are great. I mean, I completely can follow along step by step and understand what you're doing and everything.
But there is a lot of editing. It's a lot of work for me to make one tutorial.
I know. I think it's just a matter of practice. I mean, if you were doing it as frequent as I do since last year, because I've watched my first pattern tutorial, and I was, very, what do I say here? What's going on? And then I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I just do what I do. I will do mistakes on the fly. I will correct my mistakes. And I think it also helped a lot since Tony and I, when I started getting into this part of the business where I have to talk with clients and to be on creative calls with people and explain to teams and all that stuff. Your communication, let's say, skill develops a lot further, and you can apply this also to educational content in a way. So, and also, I still remember the first time we spoke public with an audience, and I was like, oh my God, I can't speak, it's very stressful. And since then, I don't give a fuck again. I mean, yeah, I just go and hi, I'm Thanos,
Nice. You have conquered it.
It's a matter of practice and a lot of Skype calls, I guess, or something.
Talking about Skype, how do you feel about this new reality of remote work? And especially, what do you look in a professional that you hire to help you these days?
That's a good question. I really love it on the one side because I am able to work with very good studios and very good artists that I wasn't even dreaming of before the COVID situation. My first job through COVID was with Elastic, and Elastic was a dream studio for me to be able to collaborate with so many talented people and compare my skills and see how am I going in that regard as a challenge, as you said. Same time is bad because this new reality makes us isolated from colleagues, and I don't like that. I mean, I want to work side by side with you. I don't want to work through Skype or everything. I want to, say some joke, push you around, make music, listen together to music, it's bonding, and you exchange ideas so fast and thoughts and everything. And,
that's definitely something I miss. Like until 2017, I was working at State Design with my buddy Marcel, and we had so much fun together, like listening to music and going out just for a quick walk to grab some coffee or some tea and talk about different stuff. And it wasn't only with Marcel, it was everyone. Like sometimes we would go like 10 people out just to drink some coffee. Yeah, the gang. It was amazing. And I really miss this parts of the reality of working together with other people.
It's definitely my worst thing in 2020, and it's actually the basic thing that I miss from my Yeti period. Sitting around with Tony, talking a lot. we speak very often on the phone. He comes over, we chill out here and everything, but it's not the same, like working every day side by side, exchanging creative ideas, because going for a coffee, as you said, to get the pressure out. We were also traveling a lot together, which now is something we cannot do, and I hate it, because traveling is so much fun and so inspirational thing to do. But it is what it is, I think I will try to, because this is my home here, which I turned into an office.
Do you live by yourself?
Yeah, I live by myself, and no kids or that kind of stuff. For better or worse, at this period, it's for better.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I would be going crazy in COVID times with kids. Yeah.
I have my nephew 5 minutes from here, which is 1 year old. And when I go and babysit, and I realize that, wow, what the fuck, I can't work same time and having a baby at home. It's crazy. But on the other part of the question that you said what type of freelancers I would look into.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I like people that work fast and efficient, because I'm a type of person that when I work with somebody, I'm more into seeing quick revisions rather than seeing complete stuff after 3 days. So definitely I'd like to work with people that are quite fast and dirty. Tony was working very dirty also. We just, throw images and changing the blending modes and say, okay. Oh yeah, that's good. Just
like
leave there.
More experimental, not...
Yeah. And although you kind of have the technical knowledge to know what you are after, a lot of stuff comes out from errors or experimentation. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm looking for good English speaking colleagues, if possible, because I realized with this remote work the last year, and it's actually more than 1 year for us. We've been doing remote work also before COVID, with outsourcing stuff to other studios in various countries and others outsourcing stuff to us. Mm-hmm. So I value very much the proper communication of a freelancer and the consistency rather than the skills itself. I mean, I need people that I know I can rely to, and I don't search, hey, are you working now? Where's this guy? Why he's AFK all day,
Yeah, that's not good. Sometimes people forget that just because they are working from home, they are actually working from home. Like, they need to work. They need to put the hours. And what do you think about this new generation of Instagram artists that don't necessarily we can really they really have really beautiful Instagram profiles with full of projects, but we can see like a portfolio or proof that they have industry's experience.
This is a very good point, because I'm not in favor of social media that much, although they drive the modern era. I cannot trust a freelancer that I don't see commercial work. If that describes all of my feeling about it. Experimentation is nice, and I love experimentation and everything, but being an artist alone doesn't make you suitable for this industry. You have to have other skills too. Like, as I said, being verbal, being communicative about things, being adaptive, being flexible, being consistent. And when you see people that just have nice softballs floating around in Instagram, there are balls floating around most of the times,
Yeah.
While I see the value behind it, I cannot be certain when I'm about to hire a guy if this guy is suitable. If how does he operate within client-driven conditions? Because it's not about art when you do commercials. It's more of applied art. It's more of to satisfy the agency needs, the director, the client. It's a whole different process. And I also what I admire about Instagram artists is the consistency that they show when it comes to personal projects. But at the same time, what I dislike is the fact that they do not have a project, let's say 1 minute animation or something. They're just having tests over tests over tests. And this alone also for me is a red flag. I mean, I expect to see something more coherent and more something that is not made in a day, you know what I mean? This shows some persistence and consistency because, as you said about your personal projects and everything, you understand the effort that you have to put in order to make a personal project. It's on your free time, you push yourself while you enjoy it. There is, let's say, there are some stages in the personal project. There is a stage of where you enjoy it at the beginning, where you play with stuff. There's the stage of frustration in the middle, where you say, what am I doing? This is all shit. How this will become a project. And there's a stage of where you start pushing yourself to take all the tests and blend them into a story. And there is also the stage, there's a word for that, near the end, when you are grinding like a maniac to...
I also forgot it.
I forget it. But
I forgot.
Anyways.
Like crunching time, something.
Crunching time, exactly. And there is the crunching time at the end. And when you see Instagram artists that do not have at all complete Instagram projects and have only tests, I don't feel confident enough to say that I would hire this guy and I know what he would produce. Maybe he's too much of an artist to work also commercially, you know. There are people that do not comply with directions. Comply is a strong word, but they do not, let's say...
They're not compatible.
Exactly. I mean, if the client says he wants it blue, I will make it blue. I mean, I cannot argue about that. He pays at the end of the day. I'm trying to do my best till a point, and after a point, you know, I just give up and say, yeah, just tell me what you need so we can move on and get paid, you know?
Okay. And yeah, sometimes my main concern about these artists that just have the social media side of the portfolio, not a real portfolio with commercial work, is that we don't get to see that he's compatible with teamwork, right? That he can work with other people, because motion graphics is such if you want to do it in a high level like you guys do, it usually is a team effort. It's a collective kind of work. It's not as collective as movie making that involves 100 of people, but at least 5-6 people you get to work with these people, and everyone needs to be on the same page and all of that, you know.
Definitely, but I have a contradiction here. All those years, it was mainly Tony and myself. The contribution from other people. But
that's already collective. It's 2 people, you know.
Still, it's not a team, let's say. I mean, okay, we had people joining for certain tasks, but if we take that into a percentage and contribution, the percentage was always very small. They were like kind of, how to say this, kind of lingering onto us that, okay, these guys are so good, they will make everything. I won't push myself hard. And this is an attitude I never appreciated many times from our partners and stuff, because a two-people team is very limited, you know. You can only do so much, and as you said, the things we've done with Tony, it's kind of a miracle in a way that we pushed ourselves too much to. Yeah, now I see that more clearly. As years pass, I see the quality of the works, and I say, wow, how many hours? What? When did I sleep? What happened? You know.
By the way, do you think it's possible to get to this level you guys got without burning yourself, without burning out at some point?
No. Straight answer, no. I think it requires a great amount of obsession and dedication and problem solving. Even if a problem, I'm not referring to technical problems, I'm referring also to aesthetics and ideas. I think 3D itself, it's and not only 3D, motion graphics, you have to be same time a designer, an animator, you have to be a lighting artist, you have to know basics about typography at least, you have to direct. It's so many skills combined to be called a motion designer, in my opinion. So how someone can obtain those skills without burning out? If you have the answer, I'm all ears.
I mean, I'm the burning out kind of guy as well, but I've been thinking a lot about, like, I'm almost 40 years old right now, and I cannot keep with this rhythm for like a long time anymore. And I've been looking for more like healthy workflows and companies that don't make me work like 16 hours a day. I don't think any company make you work 16 hours a day. I think we make ourselves work 16 hours a day because we want to make it better. Some people will just drop their Wacom pants at 6 p.m. and just go home, you know. But for some reason we didn't do that. We just kept working through the night, but I cannot do that anymore. And I see young people, and I feel bad about saying you need to burn out. You need to really go to the limits of your health to be good at this thing. And
I know.
I'm kind of in this challenge now.
I know, and this is a very important question actually, but I feel it's this field, unless you are extremely talented in both technical and design, it's vast, you know. It has so many options to explore, even to make something really simple. We are at this position now because we have burnt out. You, myself, other artists. We didn't come to a point to be a successful, let's say, freelancer or a studio without putting the hours in. And exactly because we put the hours in when nobody asked us to, it's what made the difference, you know. I don't feel this is a job that it's 9 to 5. It's more of a hobby. It's more of a passion. And while there is also the other aspect, when you work for a client, okay, and here in Greece we have very tight deadlines. People do not actually appreciate and understand what we're doing. They do not appreciate and understand the time. They pay us after 6 months, 8 months, 9 months,
Damn.
a year.
It's
insane. Yeah, but what I want to say with that is, even though the client doesn't tell you to work at these hours, if you don't work at these hours, the project will pass the deadline, and we will miss the deadline. And this is an invisible type of pressure that companies applies to us here. And even if I want to drop the pen at 6 a.m. Because I don't care about this commercial, many times I can't, because client comes the last day and tells us, okay, I have a story here for you. I've done a Kit Kat commercial. If you remember, a pink explosion.
Pink one, yeah.
Yeah, the pink explosion. And the last day of that, the agency comes at the office along with the production. And like, I'm sitting here and 8 people sit behind me and Tony. And they start saying that, what are we gonna do? The client wants to have the explosion in space. And I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean the explosion in space? And they say, let's make it all black. I'm like, what do you mean all black? And they say, let's make it black. So we're trying to argue with them and tell them that, guys, I could, but I was trying to protect myself. Because they started saying, let's change camera angles, let's change this, that. And the project, it was an explosion with real flow particles and heavy rendering because of subsurface scattering and anything, and a complex rig to wrap the pack and stuff in exactly the way they want. So coming on the last day and saying, yeah, just let's cut some new cameras here and there. I told them, guys, I'm not taking the responsibility over that. This cannot work. But what can work? Okay, I will make it black. Okay, I just make it black. I re-render everything in a day. But this is not, even if it's the last day. In the last day, you just take the Wacom pen, as you said, and leave it down, because you just, relax and send it to client and wait. They pushed us so hard that it wasn't possible. And many times I've been in the situation being pushed a lot by agencies or by clients because they do not respect the work here in Greece. While when I started working with clients outside here, I see that they actually value what I do and they understand motion design. Of course, not everyone, but at least the big studios, like you've worked with Tendril and most of the serious studios out there, you see that they value the work, they respect your schedule. Weekends is not a thing that it's mandatory. Here we had the agency comes at the studio and they say to us literally, hey guys, do not reveal to the client that you're not gonna work on the weekends.
Damn.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, who am I? Am I a slave? Am I what? Do you pay me to work on the weekends? No. Do I have a life? Can I go home? I need to see my wife and rest and whatever. So, long story short, I feel that this industry, whether you want to burn out or not, it kind of pushes you to this direction. And if you're also obsessed with becoming a better artist, you push yourself to that direction. And there is the burnout we were talking about. There comes a point which you are extremely tired. You don't have a girlfriend, you don't have friends, you don't have a social life. You're very good at what you do, but everything else has collapsed, and you kind of have to take a step back and rethink your priorities.
Yeah. Actually, I'm doing a post tonight on Instagram. I'm doing this series of posts, and it's just text. It's not art. It's just like just some knowledge I got that works for me. It started to work for me, and I say exactly about this. Like when I started in this field, I used to weigh like 85 kilos. Do you guys use kilos in Greece?
Yeah, kilos.
And now I weigh close to 150 kilos,
Oh,
and I went up and down with my weight through the years, but sometimes my poison is food. Some people, the poison is like beverage, other people are games, other people are whatever. Anything can be your poison. But sometimes I feel like I get more recognition when I stop the other parts that are healthy in my life and go to the poison,
It's actually what we were discussing about the burnout and everything. I find also myself, my body has bent, my posture, everything. I used to do. I was playing football for many years since I was a kid. Snowboarding, tennis, walking. I was very active, till I got into this industry. And when I got here, I started destroying my health as well. Actually, last year, I did a surgery. I removed my blatter. I don't know. A thing right here on the right. I don't know the word. And I don't think it's a coincidence, I think this was due to bad life and bad habits. And as you said, with food, it's a poison for all of us. You probably get weight easier than me. I have a better metabolism, but I'm eating also like a fucking maniac, I'm eating one huge box of sweets every day. I cannot do without it when I work. I need the energy. Mm-hmm. And my question is there a recipe about balancing being a very good motion designer and also have a healthy life? Because for me, it's also a struggle.
I mean, I've been thinking a lot about this. I used to be a yogi, practice yoga every day. And in 2017, I actually got back to 100 kilos from 150 to 100 in 6 months. It was crazy. It was a lot of pounds and kilos in a really short time. And I was doing yoga every day, and I was working only 8 hours a day. And I was actually taking a medicine for this. It's called Vyvanse. I'm not sure if you heard about this. It's kind of a Ritalin kind of thing. Have you heard of Ritalin?
Ritalin? No, I don't know this.
It's a drug for your mind that make you more productive, basically. And the doctor that asked me to take this, he thought I have an issue that I didn't actually have. So this drug, although it put me in a apparently healthier path, on my mind, it started to work on my mind until I got into a huge depression. So I don't think there are shortcuts for this kind of things. There's no magic pill that will make you healthy. You just need to put the same way you put the hours on your work, on your craft. You need to put the hours on your healthy, on your health. You need to go back and play your football every day, or at least a couple of times a week. And you need to go out and walk, and you need to spend time with your family and the people you love. And we tend to do everything backwards. We just put a block of 12 hours a day of work and try to put everything around it. And it should be the other way around. I think we should have this day at this time is my sacred time for football. This time is my sacred time for yoga, and nothing is going to mess up with that,
I completely agree. You know what the problem is that, for example, you and I, we are similar in that regard. We're both nerds. It's true, because I always remembered myself being fascinated by a computer. So whenever you throw a computer at me, I was also a heavy gamer for many years. I was practically sleeping at the internet cafe here.
What kind of games did you play?
I was playing Lineage, an online MMO for many years, and then I discovered League of Legends at a big age. And
Counter-Strike?
Yeah, of course I played Counter-Strike, but I was more into the fantasy side of gaming myself.
Okay.
But I saw then that this was very, very unhealthy way of doing stuff. And I did the same with 3D. At least with 3D is that I started making money, and money put me into this position that I wanted to make more money and make more money and make more money. And I became greedy at some point, working, pushing myself. And I was like, now I have more money. And then I realized, but I have no friends all of a sudden, because my friends have got married, they have kids, they have families, others left, others we broke up and everything. And there comes a point where you cannot easily amend that, There comes a point where you need, as you said, to take the hours and instead of work, put them into your life, actually, because this is what people do. But in order to go to that
process, unfortunately, for me and for you probably. You need to find the proper partnerships that allow you to work with your own terms. You cannot keep working with abusive creative directors, with abusive companies. I mean, yeah, maybe there are good money involved, but when you feel toxicity around you, you should just get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. And since we're discussing that, a big reason of why I didn't want to continue at Yeti, it's because I felt that this advertising in Greece is very toxic. I mean, lots of pressure, unnecessary pressure, lots of unreasonable demands. Mm-hmm. And I was forcing myself to work. I
feel it's a theme that gets really repetitive in Brazil as well.
I get it. I think our countries are kind of similar. You know, we are not very, let's say, Western as British or as Germans or Sweden and stuff, where they respect you more. We are more outgoing, more, yeah, man, let's do this and let's go. You know, we're like this. But when it comes to work, we are also like this. Yeah, man, let's do this. And this doesn't actually work in motion design. You have to be more to the ground to understand what's required, to respect others, respect the hours. I mean, I was trying, when I had some employees, I was trying to send them home always at 7 o'clock, no more further, not to come in the morning at 8 or stuff. We were coming late and stayed 8-9 hours, no weekends at all. That was my golden rule, that we don't want to work weekends. And I was pushing myself a lot to take this burden from others so I can make things work efficiently. Same time, there were so many things in my head, like when I was doing even a style frame, I had to make it animation ready and adaptable to changes. I couldn't focus to the style frame because I knew that the city client in Greece was gonna come and start tweaking everything. And if I haven't set up everything correct from the beginning, I would end up working days and nights. So this was stressful also for me a lot, and it felt toxic at some point with many works and unnecessary demands, like to gather in meetings at Sunday to see the edit on Sunday. Yeah, what the fuck? Why on Sunday? I mean, we can come on Monday and continue. Nothing is urgent. Nobody's dying. You know, it's just a commercial. And I think also you and I never set the ground rules to ourselves. Never draw a line because we are obsessive with motion design. We never said, okay, now I'm taking this and putting it down. We were always I want to do more. Even if that nobody pays me, I want to do more because I want to evolve. And that's there was a saying that said that when you exceed, you get to wisdom, something like this. When you go to the edge, you just start having the wisdom, and it's kind of true, but it has also a lot of side effects.
It's a high cost to pay.
High, and when you are at our age, because I'm also 40 years old, although I look 20, and you don't look 40 also, you look younger, but at this age, I don't know about you, I don't have the strength I used to have. I'm not physically and emotionally capable sometimes to, mentally capable sometimes to push further or to work more or, you know. So the solution for me now, that because I cannot undo my past, for example, and probably you cannot undo your past, we need to make a fresh start in a way and start focusing on better collaborations, start prioritizing, man. Yeah, my English.
Damn it, man.
Life over work, because life is very important and you don't have to get sick to understand that. It needs to start working, and we are in a position now that we can do this. I feel, to be able at least to pick something. Nobody's chasing us,
Yeah.
Of course, I want to work with Tendril, with Elastic, with you, with everyone. Yeah, I want to do this at the same time, but it's not possible. And I must say here that I've been rejecting job after job the last few months, not because I don't want to work that much, but mostly as a training to myself to adapt to my new motion punk, let's say, mentality, and try to balance out the life and not overwork myself anymore. I say enough is enough. I don't have to be super rich. I can just be comfortable with my life. But when it comes to young people, I'm not sure if they can. Well, actually, they can. If they work 8 hours per day, they can. But it will take them much more years than it took us to get to a decent level in motion.
But at the same time, I feel this generation has all the courses we didn't have. They have all the training and everything. A lot of free stuff that. We would pay so much money for one course when we were starting, and it was a really crappy course. And today you have really, really good content for free that is like high quality. So for us to really learn, we had to get hired, right? And start working in a good studio. And these guys today, they get to learn the best that we get to offer without getting into a studio. They just need to put the 8 hours a day of study, which is not easy.
That's true. And the thing is, that's why we have a lot of Instagram artists, because they start, if let's say motion design has a learning curve, you can very easily start like this. But then you hit a plateau very fast. When you learn the basics, and from there to even start ramping up, it needs a lot of effort. But with the resources now that they have, everybody starts like this. I mean, imagine that you have Octane now, okay? You just open Octane or Redshift, and real time you have a great image. I mean, you even have a library of materials where you can just drag and drop, even if you don't know how to create them. So what you can do from there, immediately focus on lighting. I just described that 2 years of my life before going and starting focusing on lighting. And you do that in a day now. I mean, it's insane, the tools that
there are people who don't, they become kind of director of assets, They don't actually create any asset. They don't model, they don't set up, they just set up the scene with the right HDRI and the right texture from a collection and the right model from a library, and they make beautiful work just like that without actually knowing how to do 3D,
I know, and that's great. But at the same time, they need to develop the other skills we were discussing about, the consistency and the communication and the character development,
the soft skills.
Exactly, to be a professional and not be a hobbyist, because there is a thin line between being a hobbyist and being a professional. Although myself, I just get ready models and throw in HDR. You just described my whole workflow.
No, your workflow is so much more complex than this. When you get into particles and all that stuff, it just blows my mind every time.
Thanks, but that's particles in terms of when I do style frame and everything. I don't get obsessed, to make it pixel perfect. I'm just, let's find a good HDR to light everything and let's get done with it.
When is Thanos going to learn Houdini?
Oh, dude, that's a bad question. Because I'm afraid the answer is never.
I kind of feel the same way. Like I got to an age that I don't want to get better at pushing buttons, I want to get better at the creative side of things, but at the same time, I envy so much everyone that knows Houdini,
I don't envy actually everything. I just envy the cloth system. If I could have if I could have the cloth system inside Cinema 4D, I wouldn't even care about learning Houdini. I don't care if it has better particles or anything. For me, it's all about this very specific thing that is called Vellum.
Okay, so you have a pretty good workflow with X particles and real flow and turbulence FD. Wouldn't it be better to have everything in a single tool, or it's pretty much the same thing for you?
Because they are all inside Cinema 4D, it looks like a single tool, I could use, for example, a Real Flow standalone, which is much better than the plugin. But what happens to me, maybe it happens to you over the years. There is only too much information I can put in here. I cannot easily now learn more software or having the muscle memory for the shortcuts and navigations. And so I think the more I try to keep everything inside Cinema 4D, for me is better, and it feels like a unified tool rather than a set of plugins. I mean, interface helps me at least a lot, and I can't say that I haven't learned a lot of software. Believe me, I know a lot of software, but I'm starting to rejecting this information from my head, I'm trying only to focus inside Cinema 4D what I can do inside Cinema. And I'll get back to the Houdini thing. Yeah, okay, it always bugs me that I don't... I've started 3 times, I think, for 1 day, 2 days each. And I stopped because I was working, actually, not because I hit a wall.
Yeah, me too. I started that course from Brograph. I think they changed their name. Course. Stop being afraid of Houdini, and it feels like a really solid, good course. And I was capable of doing for 2 weeks. I learned a lot, but I already forgot everything.
I know, dude. I mean, Houdini is not something you can go on and off. You need to go and commit.
You need to commit, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately. At least for me, for my brain, if I don't commit to Houdini, I'm even getting dizzy when I open it with so many icons. I feel there is too much information for me there, and it feels more like a technical director's tool rather than an artistic kind of thing where I can get results easy. That being said, I hope that with my new path now that I'm trying to work less and chill a lot. Although at the past few months, I'm trying to focus to the life side of things, as we were discussing, to try socialize again and be a human being rather than a machine. I'd like to, when I get some rest and feel better and all that, I'd like to give it one more go. But,
yeah.
Deeply, I wish that the new Cinema 4D will have some cool cloth, or the new X particle will have some new cloth there, and I won't have to go, And
yeah, they have the new note system that I'm not super excited to start learning, but but I'll probably get my head wrapped around that at some time. And how about Redshift? Do you ever think about learning a new render engine?
Funny thing is that 5 years ago, I was testing Redshift in alpha, not even in beta. So I also designed the toolbars with the buttons and everything. And I'm not sure if they're still using it, but at the time they were kind of using my icons there. So
nice.
I was pretty much all in for Redshift, and what changed my mind is that I saw Tony using Octane, in his Mac. Back then he had a Mac iMac, the big ones.
Okay.
And the pipeline was 3ds Max and V-Ray for us. So Tony was using Cinema 4D and Octane doing the style framework, and then I was translating everything to V-Ray and Max and so on. And the partner of Tony wasn't very wasn't very receptive about Redshift. He told me, no, we can't change to this engine now. And I was like, oh, come on. So accidentally, because I saw Tony, I was like, yeah, let me try this Octane. And I fell in love so much with the IPR, which is so responsive. Because for me,
I feel Octane's IPR is actually faster than Redshift's, right?
Yeah, it's the fastest I've ever seen in any engine, and it's not about the features that much for me and the flexibility. It's more about being able to nail the look and feel pretty quick. It's not even about the final rendering, because I know final rendering, I can throw some nodes in there and do the work. But when I do look dev, Octane feels like a breeze for me. And the only reason I would consider Redshift is for volumetrics.
That's much better.
Yeah, definitely faster and everything, but I wouldn't. I'm open to many things. I'm open to start doing ZBrush at some point and stuff, but not another render engine. I'm not.
I mean, it's a little bit redundant, but I feel there is a huge, like the market itself is like 50-50 right now in the motion graphics industry, at least. It's between Octane and Redshift. Some studios work with both, and some studios work only with Redshift, like Tendril, for example. They used to work with both, but I think right now they are working only with Redshift, or preferably with Redshift. And I feel that knowing both, at least for people who are starting, is a way to get more job opportunities.
It is actually, because I'd say it's not 50-50. I think it's more like 70-30 in production. Most companies and studios I try to work with, they require Redshift. And the reason I am able to use Octane, because I can take a complete project here. You know, I don't have to coordinate with a team, and I can assemble my own team and work with my own terms. Other than that, the only studio that I found that are open to Octane is Elastic. No one else. Everybody else is asking me to work with Redshift, and I'm like, no, bye, thanks.
Actually, I worked with Buck a couple of months ago, and they are using both engines. They actually let me choose which one I wanted to use, and I chose Redshift. But they are using both engines, and some projects are full Octane, and some projects are fully on Redshift. It's like by director. The one that the director prefers usually is the one that they use.
I agree with that, because I'm also doing a project now which I can't talk about it, but I strongly prefer because of, for example, it's due to the nature of a project. You know, if a project is about food commercial, I'd strongly recommend Octane. Is much better with subsurface and complex shading than Redshift, because Octane is unbiased, as you probably know. It's a render engine that is very physically accurate, while Redshift isn't. Redshift has a lot of cheats in terms of quality in order to be faster. But if I had a project which is more maybe unique style looking, not that much in terms of realism. Not that it's not capable of realism, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's more flexible to do very weird shaders. Like, for example, when you see the Microsoft commercials, these awesome ones from Tendril, the shading in there is unbelievable, and this is because Redshift, you can easily bend rules, you can easily, exclude, include lights in anything. It's like V-Ray that I was using, where I could do with ease from very cell shading stuff to very photorealistic stuff. So let's say Redshift is for a wider range of projects and looks. And Octane is more on the photorealistic side of things. It's not very strong when you try to do, although it has a toon shader, I never even tried it. I don't think it's, the strength of Octane is in another place than the strength of Redshift.
I love Cinema 4D's toon shading.
Yeah.
I usually use that when I have to do any kind of toon shading.
And I have a question for you now that you mention it. Would you take projects now that are out of your scope, out of your style? For example, as you said, a project that would require cell shading, because for me at least, I just say no to After Effects projects anymore. I don't do projects that are not to my style. I try to stick to my style and do what I'm best at, rather than being an all-arounder generalist.
I think I'm kind of a all-rounder generalist for sure. I take any style that's thrown at me. I like to have different kind of challenges at each project. I don't like to be repetitive and always use the same tool sets and trying to discover something new every time I do a project. It's very expensive time-wise, because learning and doing and working at the same time, it's tough. But I wouldn't say I excel at that, because I think there are so many people that are more talented than me. But I feel like that's home for me, discovering new stuff.
I am on the different scope completely. I like to use always the same tools that I feel comfortable, and I like to explore the exploration that you do in learning. I try to do this in let's say art direction, for example. I prefer to feel comfortable with the tools and explore the more artistic thing, rather than try to learn something new. It actually makes me anxious to, for example, if you tell me, yeah, now you have to take this project, but we'll do it on Redshift. Yeah, okay, I can jump in on Redshift the same day, I know. But why? I feel, why? I can just go and make you nice style frames. Why should I have to learn Redshift? I don't care, And
whatever tool serves you best. At least for design. For design, it doesn't matter if you're using whatever tool. You can even use Blender, in my opinion. But when it comes to the pipeline, everyone needs to be in the same page, right?
And now that you said that, I want to ask you another thing. What do you think? Do you think it's better when you do design, for example, to do everything in Photoshop, or you prefer to have it animation ready for the next artist?
I tend to be animation ready because I am the next artist. but I feel that really it limits you a lot.
I agree. Although I make also myself animation ready stuff as much as possible, I often think that without being able to do very roughly stuff and give the sense of something in order for the technical artist to execute it, I feel you get limitations in terms of design if you're just always going for a procedural setup, for example. Yeah, fuck procedural. You're doing style frames. Just throw
I tend to do style frame with procedural setups for sure.
Yeah, me too. But I knew a guy that he was obsessed to make everything. If it's not procedural, we cannot move on. And I was like, dude, come on, just collapse the fucking mess to a single object and let's move on. I mean,
that's true. Sometimes that's something that it took me a while to understand, because I didn't even realize that I always worked on a procedural way. I didn't even know what procedural meant like 6 years ago. And I was working like fully procedural until I saw some people working in a more destructive way, and how faster they were in the ideation phase of the project, you know?
It's true. I think you have to be very rough and dirty in that stage, and to focus the technical stuff in actual production.
It's really important to fail fast, right?
Exactly.
When you are doing something procedural, it's kind of implied that you don't want to fail at any cost, you know?
I know. But imagine, for example, I make sometimes, you probably seen some images of still life stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I make this in a few hours because I don't model. I just go get free models or ready models. And for example, I have cloth in there. I don't even go to Marvelous to export Alembic, take the cloth and form it. I just throw some cloth and roughly I just sculpt it, you know. So I'm able to pull a very complex artwork in, I don't know, 5 hours or so.
Yeah, those look amazing.
Yeah, I mean, these look good because I have the mindset of making it look good instantly rather than making it look be useful, you know. Mm-hmm. I just want to pass the style along as fast as possible and focus only on the creative side of things rather than, trying to make the proper topology or, if you turn the object around, it doesn't have UVs, it's crap. It's broken from the behind, but from that angle, it looks nice. Mm-hmm. And in that regard, when I do shading, I don't follow PBR pipeline at all. I mean, while I use Substance Painter and everything many years now, I try to avoid it not as much as possible. I do everything procedural in Octane. I throw wrong UVs in there, wrong projections. As long as it looks nice under this lighting and this angle, mm-hmm. I'm good to go. You know?
So, but you don't use like pre-made materials, PBR materials like Polygon?
I use only black and white maps to add dirt, to add grunches, to add like black spots or white spots, but nothing unless it's something very specific, like a table that I need boards on the table. Then maybe I will go and get from Megascans or from Polygon some scanned nice boards. I won't bother with that. But then on top, I apply my own shader again. I'm not leaving it as is. And I prefer actually to create my materials from scratch all the time and try to make them work better with the scene rather than to be PBR ready. I feel it's a waste of time for me because I'm not making assets for a film or something, you know. I try to be practical.
Yeah, me too. When I'm doing like a procedural material, I don't even know what PBR is.
Exactly. But I know a lot of people and a lot of studios that are kind of, you know, making this, the prop in the middle with the Macbeth chart in there and the HDR balls, and they're spinning the light to show you how the shader is reacting. Yeah, fuck all that. Just, you know, throw the object in there.
Just make it work.
Exactly. This is my mentality in general. Just make it work, you know, even if it's wrong, just make it work.
Yeah, mine as well. I take a lot of shortcuts. I try to make them as invisible as possible and just make it work. But if no one is watching, I'm probably doing something wrong.
Dude, doesn't matter. I mean, if it looks nice, it looks nice. At the end of the day, that's the end of it. Nobody cares if it's correct.
Actually,
it's not the point of being a motion
this
design.
happens in character animation all the time, because they animate for the camera, right? So if you change the angle of the camera, the character's all broken up and in weird shapes, and that's where the magic happens in camera. It doesn't matter what you're doing behind the scenes.
This takes a lot of year actually to adapt for many people, because you have to find your techniques and know the shortcuts, as you said, and take away the mentality of something that has to be perfect. I know people that they are obsessed for everything to be perfect. The names are perfect and everything. Yeah, okay, I get it, but we have to be practical because we have deadlines. We have, a lot of things to explore. I mean, I cannot work well in a team where I don't see many options. It's not. I want to see options when I'm working, even if they are wrong. I just want to see what feels right before commit to something, rather than go from the beginning and do something specific. And this is also the reason why I hate storyboards. I don't do storyboard in any of my projects at all. I just try to shape the story in my head and also do tests, and whatever works, I just try to place them in the edit.
I don't think to make storyboards as well. I usually when I doing these parts of, I usually tend to make like other kind of previews like animatics, and just trying to block really roughly the scene and animating the camera to see the pacing of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think we are probably 2 hours in, almost 1.5 hours in. What about last question?
Yes.
Okay, I have a really specific question. Like, what would you say to someone who is trying to do personal projects, but their results are never as good as they expect?
I say they should be more open to feedback from others, because when we do personal projects, we tend to be very egocentric in a way. We do not easily accept other people's opinions. We say, most of the times I feel also this to myself. I'm asking someone if is this looking nice, just to hear that yes, it looks nice. If it says to me, yeah, I would change this and that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't care. So I think if you be more open to feedback from people that you feel that their contribution is important, it's one way to start making better your projects. Mm-hmm. The other way is to try not to follow the trends. I think fuck the trends. Do what you feel you're doing best. If you're doing best cubes, do a personal project with cubes, etc. Whatever comes from within you, it's usually better than trying to copy something else that you saw. Because I copy a lot. I don't know about you. I copy a lot of other artists, but I find also myself that when I try to copy that I fail, and so this is not the proper way. I mean, you should implement stuff from other details from other artists, but not copy them completely, because you don't have a unique voice like this. And if you don't have a unique voice, your personal project will fail. I think it's all about uniqueness. It's all about the project to define you. Mm-hmm. For example, if I see the State project, I say, oh, this is Mauro that has this style. And if you see, I don't know, from me, I don't know. But actually, I have a question for you. Do you think that my style is recognizable, or it's all around the place?
So I'm actually new to the concept of your style, because your personal brand was attached to the company you had with Tony. So I didn't know what was Tony and what was Thanos, you know? But today, I think it's pretty recognizable because now I know the things that you designed and the thing that he designed. And I think it's really recognizable. It feels like a really playful kid with a lot of powerful tools in his hands, you know?
Oh man, that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's always beautiful. It always like inspires me to copy, if perhaps.
Thank you. Likewise, I really appreciate what you guys been doing at State. I mean, I have a folder in a mood board in my Behance where I put the best projects that I like to copy ideas from, and one of them is the one with the cameras and the flamingos coming down from State.
Oh yeah, so, that project was a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of my favorite projects from the past few years.
Awesome. Thank you, man. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. And I have no words.
Thank you.
Esse foi o grande Tano, um dos caras mais influentes na indústria no 3D pra motion agora, e um cara muito generoso aí de ter disponibilizado esse tempo pra dar tanta informação de qualidade pra gente. É isso aí, espero que vocês tenham gostado e até a próxima.